There's an interesting fact about narcissists. They usually don't like children because children always take attention away from them. But at the same time, a narcissist can have children for many reasons, from improving their status in society to inspiring pity. That's why this headline caught my attention. Elizabeth Holmes welcomes second child as she seeks to delay prison term. Is she using her babies to inspire pity? Let's find out. Welcome back, my body language buddies. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and it would be great if you join us by just liking this video, subscribing, and hitting that bell. Let's get down to it. Convicted fraudster Elizabeth Holmes has given birth to her second child as the Theranos founder's 11-year prison sentence looms, a recent court filing revealed. Holmes' defense team cited her two very young children in its latest argument for why Holmes is not a flight risk and should remain out of prison while she appeals her fraud conviction. Now check the wording here. Miss Holmes has deep ties to the community. She is the mother of two very young children. She has close relationships with family and friends, many of who submitted letters at sentencing vouching for her good character. And she volunteers with a rape crisis and counseling organization, the court filing read. Now, you might remember that this case has been dragging a bit due to the pandemic, but also in March 2021, Holmes' pregnancy further delayed the trial. She gave birth in July. Now, a trial can be delayed as much as you want, but ultimately the conviction is something very real, and she's actually facing 11 years in prison. She was found guilty on 4 of 11 federal charges and was facing up to 20 years in prison. Now, one of the characteristics of this case is that Elizabeth Holmes and her attorneys are trying everything they could to make her look like a victim, like she was under the spell or under the power of Sonny Balwani, who was her partner at the time. They did all this narrative. They built up all this narrative to make it seem like she was not in charge, even if she was CEO of Theranos. Now, this sounds a lot like victimhood narrative when someone tries to inspire pity in a jury or in a process or in the public opinion so that any punishment is reduced. And in this case, well, she has two small children. That is effectively trying to manipulate the jury by pulling at their heartstrings. Something that, yes, we have seen before. And that, well, having a child to inspire pity, it's not new at all. But that strategy of using children to inspire pity is not only limited to kids. You can also talk about your family, such as Will Smith said when he was apologizing for slapping Chris Rock. He mentioned many times his family, not only that he was apologizing to them, trying to paint himself as a man of family, that beyond letting them down is trying to inspire that affection, that empathy towards him. But let's be clear, Will Smith doesn't have much trouble inspiring pity. Now, if they try to manipulate the public opinion to inspire some kind of affection towards them, whatever happens in the media and whatever happens outside is going to affect that decision too. It should not be a coincidence that The Dropout, the Hulu docuseries that summarized perfectly all the Theranos scandal, premiered on March 2022. And in July 2022, Balwani was found guilty of federal fraud, and he was facing up to 20 years in prison too. You can imagine that despite all the efforts of Holmes' attorneys to paint her as a victim and having one baby, well, this news and the swing of the public opinion thanks to The Dropout, the miniseries, they must have been freaked out. And I find it hard to think that it was a coincidence that Sonny was found guilty on July 2022, and that must have been the timeline or the time frame in which Holmes' second child must have been conceived to be born in this month. So yes, that is part of her strategy. She's trying to appear frail, weak, submissive, that she was the victim under this man who, well, abused her and told her to do everything that she did. So, well, she can garner that empathy from the jury. At the same time, that exposure in the media made it very hard for the prosecution team to paint her as cold and calculating as we could see in the miniseries and as it happened in real life. And I know that it's gonna sound crazy, but it's business after all. Even if she spent 11 years in prison, which will be really heartbreaking for those children, and in any case, she would have all the book deals and movie deals and every deal that you can imagine after that period. So painting herself as a victim can be very, very lucrative in the long run. So that's why it's so important to have those paparazzi pictures ready. Now, you might be asking, how can someone be so cold and calculating as to have children for a benefit, for a reason other than, well, I want to be a parent, I want to have that beautiful experience? But the fact is that children are being a family, having a family are something that actually help you and have more status in society. This person has a family. This person must be responsible. This person must be caring. But with so many narcissistic mothers and fathers out there, we know that that is not always the case. And sadly, in those cases, not only the children grow up in a toxic environment, in a toxic family. That could be one of the parents is a narcissist and the other is an enabler, or both of them could be different types of narcissists, but they could feel, the children, when they grow up, that it's their fault, or that they can do something about it, or that they feel guilty because they will be guilt-tripped until adult life. You can bet on it. So it is important to know about these cases and know that this can be something that people actually do, because this can happen to anyone, and it will be really, it will be the start of your healing path. If you realize that maybe your parents had you for reasons other than, well, we want to form a family. It also depends on what was your standing on that structure, that family structure, because it usually has the golden child, the one who is showered with attention, the one who can never do anything wrong, the one who is praised for everything, and there's the scapegoat on the other hand, the one that never does anything well, the one who always takes the blame, the one who the narcissistic parent or parents, discharge all their frustration or everything that goes wrong in that child, which can be a very difficult situation. But it's not to say that the golden child has it easier at that point, because later in life, the golden child ends up having a lot of trouble because all of the delusional way he or she was raised is something that you can't interpret reality as it is, the way it really is, and you don't get the necessary emotional tools because you have been pampered in so many ways. Of course, the scapegoat is always the one that is guilt-tripped. You should be more like your brother, you should be more like your sister, you should be more like your cousins, and that is something that is unbearable. So it's like neither of them have it easy, but the life of a scapegoat starts in hell and only progresses through hell until you notice what is going on, you realize what is going on, and well, sometimes you have to go no contact with your own parents, and that's something that you have to consider. I would love to know what do you think about this in the comments. My body language buddies, remember to download my 100 body language tips right in the description of this video. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas, and remember, much love and bliss.